And I guess one of the things that's interesting, the age-old question that often people think about is, are leaders born, or are leaders something that you can develop and you can grow? And I'm guessing, possibly as an academic in the field, you might think one can grow and develop some. But I'm interested in both your views about whether or not a leader is born, something we have innate within ourselves, or something we can grow and develop. Chief Rabbi?
When you look at the biblical leaders, you see that the common factor is they seem almost reluctant to lead. Moses, being challenged by God to lead, refuses 4 times. I regard that as proof that Moses was the greatest prophet there ever was. He knew exactly what he was letting himself in for by leading the Jewish people. Jeremiah has this eloquent passage in which he says, you know, your mission, your word has brought me nothing but shame and ridicule and humiliation all day long. I try to stop speaking in your name, but your word within me is like a fire burning in my midst. Jonah tried to run away. I think in Judaism, people become leaders because they feel they can't not. Because there is a challenge and nobody else is meeting it, and so you do it. And that's why you do it. And I think you become a leader exactly as Ron learned the benching, by just doing it. There's no other way. It's absolutely fascinating. If you look in Parashat Tzav, which deals with the sin offerings, you will see there's a whole lot of conditionals. If an individual sins, if the Kohen sins, if the whole community sins. But when it comes to the leader, when a leader sins. In other words, the Torah assumes that you cannot be a leader without making mistakes, and it is through those mistakes that you actually learn. I don't think Judaism has a passion for charismatic leaders. I think Ron is absolutely right. Judaism is about diffusion of leadership all the way down. Moses, on his father-in-law's advice, sets up hierarchies of leaders of thousands, hundreds, 50s, and 10s. So on average, 1 Jew in 8 was a leader. Only that smaller percentage, we know that probably every Jew is a leader, but we've always believed in delegating and empowering. We've also been good at challenging our leaders. And the one thing that Judaism says is, you know, leadership is something you undertake with humility, and you do so not because you think you're better than anyone else, but because there is the cause and somebody has to do it. The opposite of the Jewish theory of leadership was summarized in a wonderful poem which I just looked up on the way here by Roger McGough. Did anyone remember the Liverpool poet Roger McGough? It's called The Leader, and it goes as follows. I want to be the leader. I want to be the leader. Can I be the leader? Can I? I can. Promise? Yippee! I'm the leader. Now what should we do? So I think people who want to be leaders for the sake of being leaders don't really have a place in the Jewish community. We wouldn't let them survive for very long. Leadership has to be fueled by passion, educated by mistake, and driven by principle.
How similar is that to your perspective?
Your capacity to articulate is just amazing to me. Just so beautiful, gosh, so beautiful. In my next incarnation, my next lifetime.
There's a job going, actually.
Well, 2 things to say about leaders are born and not made, that idea, and of course I've had to work with it for a long, long time, because it's a very common assumption across cultures around the world. The first is that our organizations, our societies, our communities cannot afford that idea. If we were to actually believe that idea, then we're stuck with the few people who think they have the right stuff, and then we're really in trouble. Because the people who think they have the right stuff don't realize how much they need to learn in order to deploy their talents properly. And then everybody else sits and waits, which of course can't possibly be the right position for citizenship in neighborhoods and communities, organizations and societies. Secondly, a good analogy is to musicians. I studied a lot of music. So I met around Juilliard, where I spent some time, a lot of mediocre talents who had brilliant training and became fabulously fine violinists, pianists, musicians. And I met some brilliant talents who were crippled because they didn't have the proper training. And, you know, they were just amazing, but it wasn't. And then there were a few who had both great training and great talent. So does the world need the few who are great talents? The world needs all of the people who have the passion, have the commitment, are willing to learn how to think about the complexity of change and the complexity of progress in any community. That's not something anybody's really born to know how to do, that kind of diagnostic, analytical work and that kind of action, even if you have the talents to bring to bear. So it's so important what you've done in creating this foundation. So important that you begin to develop a pipeline in which you're experimenting with various kinds of programmatic methods to develop the talents and to develop